FLW Tour Pro, Casey Scanlon here. We're at Bass Pro Shops and we're talking about the $100,000 Big Bass Bash, which is coming to the Lake of the Ozarks really soon. So today we're going to go over a couple of baits that I'd use to catch that $100,000 fish. Right here we have a Lucky Strike ringworm and a Trophy Bass Company jig. All weights are going to work on this, but I'm going to go heavy on both of these. I'm going to get down to the bottom, I'm going to fish deeper, I'm going to fish around a lot of heavy cover that some of these anglers aren't targeting. So half-ounce tungsten weight from Bass Pro Shops, a Hayabusa hook, super strong hooks. You can get them at a lot of the tackle stores at Lake of the Ozarks, but has an NRB coat. It's going to help penetrate the fish's mouth, and you want a 4 or 5/0 hook that matches this bait, something that's going to help you catch that big fish. So strong hook, tungsten weight, and you got your ringworm. Any kind of dark color like this is going to work. This is a plum, your black and blue, green pumpkin, anything like that is going to catch a lot of fish. So we got the worm right here, going to fish it on points, going to fish it deep around brush, boat docks, any kind of cover, and you're going to do the same thing with the jig. How many tournaments have been won on a jig? A lot. And how many of these big bass tournaments have been won on a jig? A lot. So this is something that you definitely need to have on your deck and need to be throwing the weekend of the Big Bass Bash. This is a Trophy Bass Company jig. It's one I designed. This is Magic Craw. It's a great color. Put a crawdad trailer on the end of the jig, fish it deep, fish it around boat docks, fish it around heavy cover, and adjust your weights. So if you're fishing shallow, 3/8 ounce, half-ounce jig. If you're fishing deeper, 3/4 ounce jig. So switch your weights up, but don't switch the jig. Anything crawdad colored, black and blue, you're gonna catch a lot of fish. So let's talk about our setups a little bit here. Using a setup from Bass Pro Shops, really important when you're gonna hook that big bass, you wanna have the right line, the right rod, the right reel. So let's start with the reel here. High-speed gear ratio. With these baits that are on the bottom, you want to pick up a lot of line really fast. So you want a high-speed gear ratio on your reel. This is a 8:1 I believe. So anything 7+, you're going to be really good. Line, let's talk about line. 15 to 20 pound line. You don't want to break that fish off. You don't want to lose them in heavy cover. So Bass Pro Shops XPS fluorocarbon right here, 20 pound, 15 pound line. You're only going to get one shot at this fish of a lifetime, so make sure you get him in the boat. Strong line, XPS 20 pound fluorocarbon on those bottom baits, and you're going to put those fish in the boat. Rods and reels. So for these, we talked about the reels, so let's talk about this rod. 7 foot, 7.5 foot, heavy action rod. If you're using lighter line, you know, smaller baits, maybe a medium heavy. But again, this is a big bass tournament, so big rod, heavy action rod. Set the hook into them, penetrate them, get them into the boat. You know, that's the name of the game. So heavy line, heavy rod, high speed reel, and you're gonna help, and when you hook that fish, more than likely you're gonna get him in the boat. So we've talked about that. Talked about fishing on the bottom, talked about fishing slow. There's also gonna be a group of fish that are gonna be shallow and they're gonna be wanting a reaction bait. So let's just say we get some rain, some weather comes in. You know, some of these fish are gonna roam away from that cover. They're gonna get up off the bottom, suspend a little bit, or maybe just get around some shallower cover. And for those situations, we're gonna tie on a crankbait and a spinnerbait for your shallow water applications. This crankbait right here, Lucky Strike Series 4, that's the biggest one that they make. These are gonna dive, you know, 2 to 4 feet. Going to be able to allow you to cover a lot of water. It comes through any cover that you could imagine. So deflect this thing off of rocks, wood, lay down, anything you come across. It's going to create a reaction strike and you're going to catch a lot of fish. Again, 15, 20 pound line, higher speed gear ratio because you're reeling that bait really fast to get a reaction strike. You want to change those hooks out. Get the TBL 930s from Hayabusa, put them on there, super sharp hook. You're not going to lose any fish, and you're going to want to use more like a medium heavy, medium action rod on both of these baits, just because they're reaction baits. That's going to allow those fish to get the bait a little bit deeper. And you know, with these treble hooks, you can pull a bait away from a fish. So a heavy action rod is not a good idea for this. Medium heavy, medium action rod on the crankbait and spinnerbait. So spinnerbaits catch a lot of big fish, and fall is the time to throw a spinnerbait. This Lucky Strike spinnerbait, designed by Jimmy Houston, is one of the best spinnerbaits I've thrown. It has an oversized blade. Whether you're throwing this Colorado or a willow leaf, it has an oversized blade on it. It's going to produce a lot more vibration. It's going to give it a little bit bigger profile, and it's going to help you catch a bigger fish. So next weekend, when you're fishing the Big Bass Bash, go with the Lucky Strike ringworm, the Trophy Bass Company jig. When you're fishing deeper on the bottom, you're going to catch a lot of big fish that way. And let's just say you want to fish shallow, the weather changes, you know, the fish start moving away from some of that cover, or you're just wanting to cover some ground and fish shallow. Spinnerbait, Lucky Strike spinnerbait, Lucky Strike RC2 square bill. You're going to catch a lot of fish. So hopefully these tips helped you, and hopefully those bait selection tips helped you to tie on the right bait and focus on the right area to catch that $100,000 fish.